Welcome to Night at Nuggets, a FNAF fan game with a comedic, slightly dark world based off the web series Chicken Nugget by Kyra Kupetsky, where you face off against a growing cast including Chicken Nugget and his friends, slowly learning about this game that you're trapped in, all at the hands of Bezel. Now this video is going to have a heavy focus on the gameplay breakdown more than the story itself, given that it's such a unique aspect to this game in particular, and the story itself isn't very large by comparison. Now despite the character's cute appearance, this game does include mild depictions of blood along with loud noises and jump scares, so you've been warned. Our game starts with a little monologue by Bezel.
Hi, Bezel here, embodiment of time. Yeah, I know, big deal. Long ago, prophecy etched into the fabric of the universe itself stated that a demigod would descend to Earth. His destiny? Warp it beyond recognition to his own selfish desire. We're gradually approaching this culmination.
Prophecies, a demigod, and you're stuck in the middle, bombarded with all of these game mechanics. The goal of each night? Make it to 6 AM, obviously. Now there's a lot to talk about with regards to this game's mechanics, but we'll gradually go through them as we're introduced to more of Chicken's friends. First, the basics. You have cameras, a scary mask, a vent on your left, a door in front of you, and a furnace to your right. Cameras are pretty self-explanatory, use them to keep track of characters and manage some of their mechanics. The furnace room is like your power generator, which essentially runs on nuggets. You must continuously refuel the furnace throughout the night if you want to avoid Chicken's wrath. Your scary mask will be used to protect yourself from certain characters that will arrive at your office. And finally, your front door is used to prevent certain intruders from attacking you, but you must be wary of how long it stays shut. The longer your door is shut, the greater the power drain. That covers the basics, so now we head onto our first night, Chicken and Cheese, introducing us to Chicken Nugget and Cheeseburger, thanks to this demon that essentially serves as this game's phone guy, just without the phone calls. Chicken Nugget starts off in the void, making their way to your office randomly, since they teleport rather than follow a set path. This means you must keep an eye on Chicken frequently in case they end up on camera 5. If you see them at camera 5, shut the door and keep it shut until Chicken stops barking. Failure to do this will lead to Chicken stealing your nuggets, making it impossible for you to keep the furnace fueled, leading to a power outage. Cheeseburger, or Chi, appears at your window, staring at you. You can simply scare Chi off by wearing the scary mask. However, you must beware, because this is where we're introduced to the first of the game's dynamic mechanics. These are like normal mechanics, but involving multiple characters. In Chi's case, scaring her too many times causes Chicken to avenge their best friend by immediately appearing at camera 5. You must close the door immediately or else Chicken will just immediately attack you rather than just steal your nuggets. These dynamic mechanics are one of the two gameplay systems that keeps gameplay feeling fresh and less repetitive. The other system includes Bezel/counter events. Bezel events are essentially a modifier that Bezel enacts on a specific night during story mode. On this night, for example, your furnace will drain and fuel up faster. While some Bezel events will be simple modifiers like this, other events can introduce new mechanics to characters or change characters entirely. On custom nights, however, Bezel events are randomized, so your difficulty has a little bit of RNG even when doing something like max difficulty, depending on which Bezel event you end up getting. Now, counter events, while not introduced on night 1, are a counter to Bezel events, granting you a positive modifier or ability after a Bezel event occurs. The first one you unlock gives you a little frog that slowly refuels the furnace automatically, giving you more time to worry about characters around you rather than the furnace. There are other counter events that allow you to simply lock down your office or even reset characters on camera. Once you reach 6 AM, you get an adorable yay from Chicken, which is a nice way to end a night. You also get a nugget that you can use to buy from Bezel's shop, from character skins, decorations, additional counter events, and even new characters, though those are only available after beating the main story. Now, something that can happen when loading one of these nights, like Seas of Chaos in my case, is the appearance of this ransomware night, where you only have 3 cameras, 2, 4, and 5, and you can't really do anything as Ransomware Chicken slowly approaches your office and essentially crashes the game. Not like the actual game, but you see an error sign, so it's like crashing the game. Now, I've seen some comments referring to this as an Easter egg, possibly to the original web series, but I haven't found any information confirming that, or any information as to what this Easter egg might be. I do, however, have my own theory as to what this could be, which I'll explain towards the end to prevent spoilers. Regardless, Seeds of Chaos is next, where we're introduced to Ice Cream, a mysterious bunny who is busy using blood rituals to create a summoning circle. They'll slowly create the circle, whilst either revealing their true form, or just making themselves look more monstrous than necessary. Once you've seen them finish the circle, you need to go to the furnace and hover over the summon scroll until you finish deciphering it. Once it's done, you can use it on Ice Cream, causing them to summon one of the other characters instead, which can actually save you in some circumstances, or give you a bigger headache depending on the character. For example, you can actually summon Chicken while they're in the furnace room, waiting for power to run out. This would actually be a miracle that allows you to continue the night rather than just await a game over. Now, this night's bezel event involves Ice Cream putting you in a trap, where you must rapidly move your mouse cursor over the buttons to survive. Since Ice Cream is busy doing this, you no longer need to worry about their summoning ritual for the rest of the night. The third night is called Big Doofuses, introducing French Fry, Ice Cream's partner, who heads towards your vent in order to attack you. Once they're in the vent, you must put on the mask and wait for them to fly to and from the furnace room. After this, sometimes French Fry will also grant wishes, causing either jelly beans to fall from the sky or bees to fly across your screen. You must not come into contact with the jelly beans/bees or else she attacks you. Now, her addition also adds a new dynamic mechanic between her and Ice Cream. Should Ice Cream end up summoning French Fry after you use a scroll on her, she transforms into evil French Fry, causing her to attack your door and then head for your vent. As for this bezel event, it is guaranteed that Ice Cream will summon French Fry, giving you experience with this dynamic mechanic. Now, once you beat this night, we actually get to see Chicken hanging out and laughing with their beloved friends, until his friends ominously disappear. In confusion, Chicken looks around and notices the camera in the void, staring at it.
What's happening?
Our next night is aptly called It Gets Longer, as the time speed during the night actually slows down. Our next character is Slushy, a weep fox who can be found in their room unless they head straight for your office. If you see Slushy outside the window, you must use the audio device in her room to make her think that there's an anime playing, making her run back to her room. However, on occasion, this audio device will malfunction, and you'll have to complete a minigame to fix it. Now, this minigame will actually change depending on who's recently interacted with Slushy. This is essentially a result of Slushy's dynamic mechanics with characters like Chicken, for example, where if Chicken is the last one to interact with Slushy, you get a minigame where you have to put hats on top of frogs. Failing to fix the audio device, however, can pretty much end your run, though. The upside to all this, however, is that while Slushy is attacking you, the other characters are paused. Next, we have arguably the most annoying character, the dumpster fire squirrel known as Hot Sauce. Honestly, I always confuse this thing for a fox, probably because it keeps swiping my shovel at the most inconvenient of times. Essentially, Hot Sauce is your biggest troll. They'll randomly either open the door right as you try to close it, take off the mask as soon as you put it on, or just grab and hold on to your shovel. Just poke him and you'll get it back. Hot Sauce's dynamic mechanic occurs when he gets summoned by Ice Cream. He'll spend some time with her, longer than other characters, as a result taking longer to return. So that's just a benefit to you. Another cool mechanic, if he has your shovel and the bees from French Fry's wish fly into him, he'll scram and automatically give you back your shovel. So all around, these dynamic mechanics end up screwing Hot Sauce more than you. This leads to the introduction of Spicy Nugget, a new variation of Chicken that appears thanks to this night's bezel event. This time, when you close the door on Spicy Nugget, they'll attack the window, and you must band the button shown to stop them. It amazes me that even though we're only about halfway through the game, there are so much variations and modifiers that are added to the gameplay through these bezel events that adds to the overall chaos in one night. It's also cool that some of these dynamic mechanics work for the player and not always just against you. Though thinking about it now, it actually makes a lot of sense given the characters involved here. Our next night, Fuzzy Feelings introduces Chee's partner, Coffee, a literal sheep in wolf's clothing. She'll appear along with 3 clones at the corner cameras, and you must figure out who's the real Coffee. Now, at first I thought that there were actual differences among the clones, but you really just need to point out which Coffee does not have static. And, since they're Chee's partner, if you scare Chee enough times, she'll instantly attack you with her clones, and you must find the real her faster than usual. You can actually counteract Coffee's mechanics though, one time, by using the cheeseburger outfit in the dressing room, which will distract Coffee and Chee for a while. Isn't romance lovely? Next, we have Chee's younger siblings, Catsup and Mustard, who will randomly appear in your office one at a time and will try to steal either your mask or furnace buttons. In order to make them go away, hover this cat toy above their heads. However, if you scare Chee enough times, again, both of them will show up simultaneously to back her up. Chee sure's got a lot going for her. Our bezel event tonight starts to affect the monitor to your left, where eventually a ring Coffee makes their way from the monitor to your office. Should this happen, flip the cameras up immediately to make her go away. Now we're starting to reach the later nights, with Ice Hot Cold, where we're introduced to the mother and son duo of Sody Pop and Sarsaparilla. On camera, the mother and son duo will wander around, with candies showing up in front of their path. You must get rid of these candies, or else Sody Pop will go on a nuclear sugar rush towards your office, and then subsequently steal your credit card. If this happens, you must get Sarsaparilla's attention so that she calls her son over. We also have Onion Ring, who's the first character that's actually not here to attack you. They're not supposed to be here at all, actually, but they grew interested in this game that's taking place here, and has been doing research on that demigod that we talked about earlier, so he came here in search of more information. On occasion, he'll fly by your office dropping off a book that can grant you either a buff or a debuff. A little chaotic gamble, especially considering you don't have to pick up the book at all. Speaking of books, one of the books that he can drop actually creates a clone of Onion Ring that'll attack you if you make too much noise. And it also has other books that can affect other characters, like Coffee for example, where you can see how long it'll take before Coffee attacks you. Now, during the bezel event, Sody Pop and Slushy will randomly appear in your office, either increasing or decreasing the temperature. If you get cold, head to the furnace, and if you get hot, grab one of the falling snowflakes that appears randomly. Back in the void, Chicken looks distressed, looking on as French Fry and Ice Cream disappear, crying at the loss of their friends. What's happening to all my friends? Back to form with the quicker nights on Zoomies Night, where we're introduced to Old P, a mukbang streamer who will randomly take over your cameras for a stream. When he does this, you need to press the record button to take back control. As for the bezel event, given the night's name Zoomies, all of the characters now move faster. Night 8 is our penultimate night, Clock's Ticking, which introduces us to Milkshake, our final character, who's in a relationship with Old P and is constantly texting him. Searching for a better connection, they'll slowly approach your office, and you need to use the message button in order to lure her away from your office, back to the void. As for dynamic mechanics, as long as Milkshake is active, Old P can actually be replaced by Milkshake's toxic ex-boyfriend, and they'll take over the camera feed like Old P, except this time the record button will move around and you must click it before you get attacked. Now, our bezel event this night involves Basil himself, who will attack you in your office should they have enough time to fade into your office. You must use the clock to wind time backwards and make him go away. At 4 AM, Chicken drops his happy persona, stopping all the music. We don't even get any form of celebration at the end of the night, as Nugget looks on in sadness. Meanwhile, Chicken remains devastated after learning that he isn't real. This leads us to the finale, his destiny. After Chicken and Bearzill's transformations, Chicken now takes control of the Bezel events, dubbing it a Chicken event, where you must close the door on Bearzill. The night has completely changed now. Not only is the music back, different than usual, but the clock symbol at the top left has changed into the symbol of one of those eyes. And Bearzill's looking rather confused about what's going on in the void camera. Even he doesn't know what's happening. We get another Chicken event later on where small froggies will appear in your office. You must click them away before all three appear, or else a large frog will block the cameras. As you reach the end of the night, we see a happy Chicken, French Fry, and Chi relaxing, as French Fry looks into the space-time tear. In the tear, we see Bearzill, who's caught off guard by French Fry, and proceeds to explain what happened. Essentially, he created a game in which he can unleash and demonstrate the power of a demigod to the player, us. That demigod Bezel is referring to is Chicken. Now he says that he thought this would have worked better compared to his usual methods of displaying Chicken's power, which I'm pretty sure is a reference to the original web series. However, this pocket universe he created ended up becoming unstable after failing to realize that while everyone was being reset, Chicken was the only one that remained, so they just kept seeing their friends disappear constantly. Now I was trying to think about how to explain this phenomenon in terms of gameplay, right? Like interpreting it in how the game actually plays. And my best interpretation on the matter is that whenever the player dies or starts a new night, all of the characters get reset. Obviously, that's how a game works. But that doesn't happen for Chicken. As a result, he subconsciously brings them back by tearing into space-time. Now, what does this mean in terms of the game itself? I'm not really sure exactly, because it makes it sound as if Chicken brings them back, but when exactly? Maybe this is happening when you retry the same night, for example. He just brings them back and then the night just repeats again. Either that, or it's literally happening after every night, whether the player dies or moves on to the next night. Of course, Chicken slowly realizes that something is off with this universe, this game, but it isn't clear until after night 8, where he accidentally tears into reality again, revealing the truth about this pocket universe and the fact that he is not the real Chicken. But it's all too late now, as Chicken is now awakened as the demigod of chaos, and it's up to French Fry to deal with him. This leads to a different gameplay segment where you play as French Fry and have to dodge all of Chicken's projectiles until you've charged enough energy to defeat Chicken. Now this minigame literally goes from dodging homing projectiles to slow then fast projectiles to laser beams. It can get quite chaotic, and I think it takes quite a while. It takes like a couple minutes to get through, and you have to also manage Chicken's impatience with a like button. You have to delete comments in order to prevent your health from draining. Even for a minigame segment like this, it has its own unique aspects to it, like the like and comment functions, and you have a one-time small heal, which is a little forgiving, I guess, but essentially this minigame demands that you don't get hit that much, if at all. But if you reach the end, you'll have charged enough energy and create an energy sphere large enough to defeat/destroy the Demigod of Chaos. After finally defeating the Demigod of Chaos, we return to reality with French Fry, but we're understandably concerned given that the last time we saw these two, they were trying to kill us. But French Fry reassures us that they are nowhere near as scary as the more aggressive variants that we dealt with in Bezel's Pocket universe. So we go on to introduce ourselves. But French Fry looks into the tear in space-time, revealing that the Bezel universe still remains. Now, one thing that I have neglected to mention up until this point is Bezel's motivations for creating the Pock universe. And it is kind of hinted at in that very first monologue, but essentially, what Bezel is doing is trying to recreate the conditions, or at least he's trying to show the player what the Earth will look like once the Demigod of Chaos arrives. The Demigod of Chaos is going to arrive to Earth and essentially bend reality to their will, to their selfish desires. And Bezel is trying to emulate that in this Pock universe, show you firsthand what's going to happen. After all, they're a living doomsday clock, so they are literally ticking down to the point where the prophecy will occur. But the problem, obviously, is that he lost control of Chicken, the fake Chicken, and ended up creating the Demigod of Chaos. Now, besides Custom Night, you can choose to tackle Story Mode again on the Spicy difficulty for more Nuggets, unless you've already done so. Now that you've beaten the main story mode, you now have the option to unlock 3 additional characters that come from alternate universes. In order to get a small additional cutscene from Max Mode, you need to unlock these 3 characters so that they're part of the Custom Night. We have animatronic Chicken Nugget, which comes from a restaurant called a Nugget and Friends in a town named Cute Town. To deal with him on Custom Night, you must prepare a burger in the furnace room for him before he arrives at your office. Just make sure not to burn it. Next, we have Parody Ice Cream, coming from the Parody universe. This ice cream actually has a cloning toaster with Ligmajitsu that allows them to duplicate among all the cameras. Allowing too many of these duplicates to persist will make you get jump scared by Parody Ice Cream, but you can avoid this by taking pills that'll remove these duplicates one at a time. However, you have a limit of 30 pills, and taking too much consecutively will make you sick. Finally, we have Bootlegged, a sentient bootleg chicken nugget plushie that tries to scam you with bootleg plush toys, and also spams you with advertisements of his scams. If you remain on the camera with these ads for too long, you'll get attacked by him, so it's essentially a double scam. Either lose your money, or lose your life. Beating the Max Mode Custom Night gets you an additional cutscene from Chicken, who apologizes to you for putting up with their more aggressive counterpart, and tries to make it up to you by giving you a box of nuggets that you can enjoy. But that covers the entirety of the game from a gameplay and story perspective. This Pock universe by Bezel lost control when it failed to reset Chicken along with the others, and they went power crazy as a result. To be honest, this whole game gave Chicken an existential crisis after learning that they weren't real. Now, one of the cool things that I didn't realize at the beginning is that, technically speaking, this whole game is about Chicken's abilities as the Demigod of Chaos. And what's so cool about that is, obviously, we're not just dealing with Chicken. We have Chicken's friends. Why? Because the extras reveal that a lot of the characters' abilities shown throughout the nights are actually given to them by Chicken. So it backs up that whole idea that Bezel is trying to display Chicken's powers, show them off, not just through what they can do, like teleport around cameras, but also by showing how Chicken can give abilities to other characters, like Coffee and her clones, for example. The only exceptions, or I guess characters that didn't really have any abilities, are French Fry, Ice Cream, Old Pea, Slushy, Hot Sauce, and Milkshake. Given how chaotic these nights get because of more characters, more abilities given by Chicken, along with the RNG that comes with the Bezel events and the dynamic mechanics, it all fits to show how we're witnessing the power of chaos, essentially, randomness, unpredictability to a certain extent. Now, before we end it here, I want to go back and talk about that theory I had about the ransomware Easter egg night, because I really don't know what it's in reference to. If it's in reference to anything, maybe those comments said that's an Easter egg because it's a rare event. But if I were to think about what that could be in terms of the game, this seems like that ransomware night could be an alternate universe, right? We already know that we're pretty much in a multiverse of sorts, right? We have the Pocket universe, the real universe with the real adorable characters, and we also have the alternate universes with Chicken, animatronic Chicken Nugget, Parody Ice Cream, and Bootlegged. So this ransomware night being part of like some ransomware universe, for example, could be plausible. I'm not sure if it's actually meant to have any story implications though. If it does, then maybe my explanation isn't correct, but like I said, I haven't been able to find anything about it. So I pretty much just have that as my main theory with regards to what that ransomware night is. However, if this is actually referencing something from the web series, feel free to let me know in the comments below. But of course, with all that said, that has been Night at Nuggets. What a fun game. Honestly, I had a blast playing through that. The way that gameplay is approached in Night at Nuggets is so unique with the bezel events, counter events, and just embracing RNG in a different way, I guess, by having a lot more cooperative mechanics as well, and just like, I guess, mechanics that don't necessarily have to come from just the characters themselves. And it's nice that it has like a nice story that helps back up, in a way, the gameplay that is present. Of course, if you did enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know you're enjoying the content and want to see more of it. The game will be in the description below as always. Great job to Epic TG Games and everyone that was a part of this. What a pleasant surprise. And with that said, I'll see you in another video. Take care.